Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, and it's time for us to officially get into the holiday spirit. Welcome to the Festival of Fiends, the month where we will be looking at the fiends outside of the main devils, daemons, and demons, and allow you to better understand them in the context of the world of Golarion. Today, we kick things off with the disgusting approximations of life, Demodands. Long ago, when mortals were first born, they began worship of the deities. But there were other immortals alive at that time, Titans. The Titans quickly grew jealous of the adoration which was being given to deities that they saw as beneath them, and so began a plane-spanning conflict against mortals, believing that would allow them to supplant the deities. However, another faction of the Titans, those now known as Elysium Titans, gave up a portion of their powers to allow the gods to bind their brothers to the abyss, where they became known as Thanatonic Titans. However, in prison, the Thanatonic still bore their grudge and began looking for any way possible to prove their superiority and spit in the eyes of the gods. So, since they could not destroy all mortals who worshipped gods, they decided instead to create their own creatures whose duty would be to worship them. And so they carved forth life forms which surpassed mortals in every way, creatures who stood as perfect paragons of all mortals wished they were at first. But not a minute passed before these creatures' flesh began to melt and boil, reforming until they were creatures most hideous, until they became the Demodands as we know them today. Demodands care little for family and reproduction, is just a whim to them. But they still produce more of their own kind, of course. Can't let their bloodlines go extinct. All Demodands lay and fertilize eggs, with the type of Demodands born being basically randomized. Not sure why I'm messing up words today. However, special note must go to the blasphemy practice of Demodands cannibalizing eggs. Both Titans and Demons have tasted the treat and found it tastes like, well, Demodands look. But Demodands love the taste, and ingesting it is like a drug which sends them on a bloodthirsty euphoria, sending the fiends on rampages across the abyss. When the eggs actually are allowed to hatch, hundreds of Demodands hatch from one egg, then proceed to slaughter their own brothers until only one of them survives. This is believed by scholars to give Demodands a thirst for chaos from an early age. Of course, Demodands do not raise their children. Instead, they lay their eggs in a dark, secluded place and just leave the children to fend for themselves. All that matters is the child grows strong, not how many children actually survive. Like all fiends, there are several types of Demodands. The four most common types are referred to as Shaggy, Slim, Stringy, and Toy. Shaggy Demodands are the largest of all Demodands. They have toad-like faces and thick fur spreading across their body. They are also known for their noxious smell. They are usually left to lead the armies of the Thanatonic Titans due to their love of destruction and their desire to kill as many people as possible. Slimy Demodands are more muscular and much more compact. Their body is covered in slime continuously oozing from their skin, and their heads look even closer to frogs than the Shaggy Demodands. They tend to act as shock troops, mastering the art of physical repulsion in order to break their enemies through sheer intimidation. And when that is done, all that's left to do is eat. Stringy Demodands, in turn, are lean and strong. They get their names from the black strips of skin which they have hanging off of themselves. which they use to grab their prey. They are skilled as hunters who specialize at bringing back prey alive, and therefore tend to work in the slave pits, breaking the wills of people until they praise the Thanatonic Titans. That said, the nature sometimes makes them less suited to slavers than torturers. Tauri Demodands are the most agile of the four. What makes them special is that their flesh continues to produce sticky tar which they use in combat to disarm opponents. These are the most common kinds of Demodands, and they actually enjoy doing the grunt work. They're also the most likely kind of Demodands to work together. The most likely Demodands you will see on recon and infiltration missions. Considering how little Demodands care about creatures besides their Titan masters, including themselves, they live by the philosophy of might makes right. No friends, no family, no social structure, just complete and utter violence. All disagreements are resolved through violence. If it's mere words, it can be finished with a competition of strength. Anything worse is cause a battle to death. They convert others to the worship of Thanatonic Titans through torture until the former priest breaks, then sends them to establish cults on the material plane. When on the material plane themselves, Demodands work to cause heresy and rebellion within religions. One way this is done is through defacing holy sites, capturing and thwarting religious leaders, and cause common people to doubt that the deities will save them. It also force as many people as possible into slavery, whether mortals or demons, in order to serve as sacrificial pawns for their missions of destruction. But most importantly, they serve as the agents of the Thanatonic Titans on the material plane, and will stop at nothing to make gods and mortals kneel. Now, finally, let's end this by taking a quick look at Demodand Tieflings, the Foul Spawn. Two of the three we are looking at this month never given a lineage before the remaster, and with Nephilheim's coming, let's look at what we will never get for its second edition. Foul Spawn's blood gives them two things which makes them separate from other mortals and connects them to their progenitors. Physically, all foul spawn have poor hygiene, and it is easy to smell a foul spawn in a room even if you cannot see it. Second, they are driven to fight against all conventions, not just religion, but all social and legal codes as well. Though there are claims more foul spawn are found in northern Avestan because they are more uncivilized, foul spawn are born within all societies, like a rot which will forever continue to rise to the surface. And that is all for today's video. And with it, one of the least used fiends. Second only to divs, which I was unfortunately unable to find enough to make a video for. Well, either way, ending with Tieflings, we'll be looking at a third group, which never received Tieflings before the remaster. See you then.